Okay, good morning. It is 7 o'clock, Monday morning, day one of the Summer Sleep Challenge with Coach Vic. This is 2023 version. I started this last year. I did it in August when I realized at about this time of the year, summer solstice time, that as these lighter days, now we have an overcast morning this morning, but with sunshine bright and early, if you don't get to bed on time, you're waking up with the sun. If your body's in rhythm with the circadian rhythm of the universe. So we are live in our Summer Sleep Challenge private Facebook group. So anybody there, anybody who's on Facebook can watch this recording immediately following. Otherwise, you'll be receiving a link for the replay in your daily emails. It'll be kind of a recap for the day. And so hopefully that will cover all those people who can't be with me live, because I do understand either it's work or there's other activities you have going on at this time. But thank you for joining the challenge, for the interest in the challenge, because if you're here, I think it's because you need to be here, and I hope I'm able to answer all of your questions. So if you are with me live here in the Zoom room or even over on Facebook, just put in the chat or in the comments where you're from. It's good to know if you're an East Coast person and it's not 7, but 10 o'clock in the morning. And then I would also understand why, if you are a working person, you're not with us live because you're working. Or even European people who might literally be watching this on the replay because they're sleeping right now. So, or it's evening. It could be evening, later in the evening. If it is, hopefully you've got your orange blue blocker glasses on. We're going to talk about those in a minute. So I wanted to say, I won't be addressing questions like for this episode at the end of each episode. Day 5 is going to be kind of all about Q&A. I'll answer some questions on some of that content, of course, because that'll be our last day. But what I'm going to do is answer anybody's questions tomorrow morning, first thing, each morning from the day before, and how you can ask the questions if it's not here in the chat. It will be through the email, the recap email. You can reply directly to that email and ask me whatever you need to ask me, and I will work on addressing and answering those questions in the following morning, so tomorrow's episode. That includes even if you're not here live, but you get the replay and you're watching this, and then you have a question, go back to the email, hit reply, and send me a question. Okay, so first question might be for anybody who's over here on Facebook, or if you're with me live now in the chat. I'm not seeing anybody here in the Zoom room, so maybe you're over on Facebook. You got your email last night about the sleep prep checklist and how many things could you start working on right away. My recommendation would be to read the whole thing and then just work on the things you can work on. Well, I'm going to just tell you what I did. I mean, pretty much, do I nail this stuff most of the time? Yes. Are all of these things that have aided me in the past? Yes. Do I have to do them all the time? Possibly no, but it's good to know that you have these resources that you'll be receiving. You also received in your morning, and what we'll be discussing today in your morning email, the morning routine. Tomorrow you'll be getting the evening routine. So my room is always dark and cool. I always wear my orange blue blockers. This morning, and I always drink my water in the morning. This morning, I did do some yoga coffee outside. First light and the eyes, that's also very important. We're going to talk about all that stuff. So I probably got about 5 or 6 things off this list, and that's pretty much a regular thing. So this is just something, keep this. If you end up journaling your journey, or if like your journey is starting today, in order to try to improve your sleep and ultimately improve your health, because it's a huge component to that keeping a journal or a folder with all this information, you might get to the point where you're feeling great, and you do that for 6 months, maybe a year, maybe even 2 years, but something happens in your life that creates a little bit of a disturbance, and it's going to affect your sleep. The way to recapture your good sleep is to go back to these things, revisit these things. And you're going to find the stuff that really works for you, that you enjoy doing, and you're going to want to do them every day, even though you feel like maybe you don't need to. But believe it or not, our bodies, we're an energetic being, and we're affected by our environment. There could be something happening at your neighbor's house. It could be in your house, but those things affect our subtle body energy. And when that is disturbed, more than likely our sleep is disturbed. I oftentimes have to dive deep with clients to discover that there is in fact sleep problems, because how they sleep today is how they've slept always, and they think that that's normal, but they're not well. So we'll move forward here. And so if you also want to share with how many hours you average, the average number of hours you sleep per night, and then also maybe the number of times that you have to get up, that you have disturbed sleep, or have to get up, go to the bathroom, whatever. Maybe you wake up, turn over, and you can't fall back asleep. If it happens once in a while, that's not what I'm talking about. If it's a frequent thing, that's what I'm interested in. So for all of those people who don't know me, who am I? Who is this person telling me what I need to know about sleep? My name is Vicki Laughlin. I have been in the fitness industry for 42 years. I started as a fitness instructor, group fitness instructor, pretty much out of high school. I started my business under the name of Personal Workout Systems because I was an exercise coach, a personal trainer, in 1986. And at that time, people could literally regain health by movement because people weren't regularly moving. And getting in, like the phase of aerobics was so popular because people weren't aerobically and cardiovascularly moving their bodies. And that was an important thing to do. And I had a lot of clients get very, very healthy with exercise and not addressing anything else. My education was also limited there. I couldn't go into nutrition and other things. I had nutrition education, but I wasn't a registered dietitian. And in the world, the Western world of health and nutrition, if you were not a registered dietitian, you could not give nutritional advice, and let alone lifestyle. I was 20 something years old. I mean, my life was fine. Nothing physically, nothing was wrong. I mean, some things I can know today that were probably going on, precursors to things that if I had not addressed my health the way I have in the last 15 to 20 years, I probably would be sick today. Because our illnesses, our disease, our dis-ease comes not from what I did yesterday and today I have this. It's what I did 10, 20, 30 years ago, and now today I have this. So, and sleep is part of that. If the bad sleep over this many years finally catches up to you, yes, it's years on the body, but it's years of insult to the body as well, no matter what your age. So, okay, so I changed the name to Dynamic Wellness because I went back to school about 13 years ago, become a holistic health coach. I now can address nutrition and lifestyle as well as movement and sleeping. Right now, here today, what we're talking about is part of a huge component to what I address with my clients. It all starts with balancing the nervous system, and sleep is one of those rungs in the balance. Your morning routine, which hopefully you've copied off. If not, you're looking digitally. You'll see this rock balance This is about the yin and yang in the body and the 6 foundation health principles. And I'll address those when we start talking about that. So now I've got tools in my toolbox to help clients really get well, because we have an epidemic of very, very sick people because of environmental toxins. Our food supply is tainted with chemicals that if we don't buy organic, we are getting those chemicals in our body, and it's taking a toll on our health. And that could be the very component that's affecting your sleep as one thing. But we also have EMFs, our electromagnetic frequencies. We're on it right now. It's why daylight outside in the morning is so critical, because we are bombarded with this, and that does affect our subtle body, and that does affect our sleep. We're going to talk about that in the morning and the evening routine, actually. So that's a little bit about me. As far as like a morning routine, I never had the opportunity to do a morning routine up until about, well, pre-COVID, pretty much not at all. Very few things. I would address certain things in the morning, but I didn't have time for meditation. I was out before the daylight, so I wasn't getting early morning sun, at least not from my house. I was out and about, so I was getting it in some way or another. But since COVID, I have been home more, working virtually. I have had the opportunity to dial in all these things, as well as dial in more sleep and change my sleep from, say, like an 8:30 to 4:30, 5 o'clock to more like a 10 to 6. And if I continue to honor that, I really have felt in these last 3 years that my body has been more in rhythm with the universe, because that's the circadian clock, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. for sleep. Okay. So this week, we're going to literally dive in from the morning to evening routine that you need to know for the most improved sleep that you can achieve. Certain sleep hacks, which I'll share a couple right now. Blue blocker glasses, pretty much a night. You won't see me not wearing these things. And I do watch TV sometimes in the evenings, but and I have, these are just a plastic cheapy pair because I don't need glasses when I read, but when I'm reading, I'll wear these. My overhead lights are off. I have a lot of electric candles that go on that create ambient light in the house. I'll use a table lamp if I'm going to read, but it's pretty dark. And then occasionally I'll use mouth tape. And if I have been like working late at the computer, or even on a project outside, it's summertime, we work until it's dark, and I still have to get to bed on time and get up in the morning, blah, blah, blah. I will mouth tape, because I typically am still very energized. Maybe my cortisol hasn't dropped like it should have, not necessarily because of the lights, but that's a stimulation for sure. Just my energy level. It's the same as if you worked out hard in excuse me, in the evening. And maybe I won't do it, and I'll find I don't have restless sleep. I can even tell I'm mouth breathing. This just keeps you, it doesn't completely close off the mouth, but it helps you more facilitate your breath through your nasal passages, which actually is more of a parasympathetic activator, which the parasympathetic nervous system is where we want to be when we sleep. That's our rest, digest, elimination. It's where we need to be more of the day, but unfortunately we are stressed in a perpetual mode of stress every day. So we stay sympathetic, we stay high. So anyhow, that actually works like a charm for me. I wear an Aura ring. Now that's a sleep. These are 2 sleep hacks I would recommend, in addition to the other stuff we're going to talk about in the evening routine tomorrow, that are excellent. I almost don't even call them hacks, because we could have genetically, we could be genetically marked to not have great sleep. That's actually where I'm at. I score like a D on my sleep for my DNA test. it just means I need to pay attention to things. It means I can't stay stimulated. I need to bring my body down. And when you do those things, it doesn't mean DNA is your destiny. It means it's the information you need so that you take care of what you need to take care of so that you have better health. So another long subject, DNA is one of the tests I do for my clients to, if for nothing else, it gives them information about their body that your DNA is never going to change, but your environment can. And it's the environment that affects that DNA. And if you address the environmental things that are altering that DNA negatively, then you can improve your health. It's wonderful when I can show that to a client and they understand their body better, so that it's the reason why they would want to proceed with addressing health issues and knowing that they can do it naturally. So we are going to talk about things like, why is what I had for breakfast this morning affecting my sleep, in the nutrition course, which will be on Thursday, and just hopefully just opening new doors for you and squashing some limiting beliefs that you think that, like what I just explained about DNA, that natural health is, like, I'm already 65, 70, 80 years old. It's too late for me. I'm telling you, it's not too late for you. So thank you for being here. Okay, let's get to the morning routine. Pretty much every day we're talking about 30 minutes. We'll be working together. We've got about 15 minutes left. We're doing good on time. And Friday will probably be a little bit longer lesson because I do want to address anybody's questions. And I'll be talking a little bit about my programs and some of the things I do to help people get healthy. So the morning routine, hopefully you got that. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the sleep prep checklist and the evening routine. But I want to make sure that tomorrow morning, hopefully, you're going to get up a little bit before we meet, and you can do a lot of what's on this list. I did want to go back and mention that the pre-COVID stuff for me, I had to do what I'm going to talk about at the end of this is an abbreviated version that you can do if you have a schedule like I had pre-COVID, which was up and out when it was still dark. I had limited time to, get myself ready, feed the dogs, and get out the door. So it was very, I didn't have a bunch of time to spend. And that may be you, and maybe this is going to be something you can do only on the weekends, and you'll do the abbreviated version during the week. Totally fine. Effort. We want to just take one step at a time, meet yourself where you're at, do what you can. It's all going to be beneficial. Okay, so the rock balance that you see on both your morning and you'll see it on your evening routine as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about yin and yang. It's a Chinese philosophy for what we would call in our Western philosophy of homeostasis in the body, balance, harmony in the body. It comes with, external, but it needs to start internal. So by internal, this is the thing we have total control over. Environmental, not so much. However, if there's environmental toxins, you can do HEPA filters in the house. There's things you can do to protect yourself environmentally, but it starts with taking care of yourself inside. So on the rock balance, you see a yin side, 3 rocks, and a yang side, 3 rocks. Sleep sits within a yin principle on the yin side. We are looking at this, and yin is always, it's the feminine side of things. It's very energy accumulating. It's our parasympathetic nervous system where we repair and rest and digest. Again, those three principles on the list here, hydration, nutrition, and sleep, are all yin principles. Night is a yin principle. Moon, anabolic, which is tissue restoring. Just think about when you're parasympathetic, you're restoring and rejuvenating. And working in, we're going to talk about that in a minute. On the masculine side, or on the the yang side, is the opposite of feminine, is masculine. The opposite of energy accumulating on the inside is energy expending. So on that side, we have our moving and our thinking and even breathing. But actually, all three of those can be very yin as well, and sometimes need to be that way in order to regain our health. But they are energy expending health principles. It takes energy to for those principles. The opposite of night is day, moon, sun. Anabolic is tissue restoring. Catabolic is tissue destroying. Now, it's not a bad thing when you work out and you want to build muscle. You must break down the muscle, but then you need to anabolically let your body rest and repair and restore before you do it again. But the result of that is muscle development, muscle strength, accumulation of strength. Opposite of working in is working out. We all know what working out is. We don't all know what working in is. We're going to talk about that. So it's important to maintain the balance. If you remove one of those rocks off that rock balance, even if you move it a little to the side, you're not going to be in balance. And if we remember that in these 6 principles within our body, you'd be amazed at how much health can be restored just honoring those principles. And that, by the way, folks, is no pills required. There's no pills, no potions. I mean, you just literally honor these principles. And if you need more than that, we might be talking about pills and potions, but healthy, natural things. Honestly, we are deficient in this. We are not deficient in, pharmaceutical drugs to make us healthy. This is what I find. This is the first thing I address with my clients because it's lacking in just about everybody. I know it was with me, and I think about it now every day. It's part of my routine. Okay, number 1 on the morning routine. Again, you're going to perform this daily until you feel good, until you're sleeping well. And then after, you'll find the things that you like the most that you might want to continue regardless. But you'll dial in what actually works for you off this list. And if some of them don't right now and you're making strides towards better sleep, just do what feels good. Meet yourself where you're at and just consider all these things. Consider the sleep prep checklist and all of that. So number 1, getting natural light in your eyes. There's a spectrum of light that we don't have. Right now I'm under artificial lights inside the house, but I did this morning go outside with the dogs. Actually, it was a little bit dark when I let them out, but I went out again and did my yoga coffee outside. And even though it's overcast, I am getting a spectrum of light that our internal body clock identifies as, okay, time to flip the switch and get my cortisol activated. And we're going to talk more tomorrow and the next day about the balance of these 2 hormones, melatonin and cortisol. If you saw my promos, there's a beautiful dance between these 2 hormones that actually, if it's disrupted in any way, trust me, you have disruption in other hormones in your body. That could be insulin. That could be female or male hormones. It's definitely, our sleep could be the healer of all of those things. Let's just put it that way. We might need a little help with the diet, nutrition on the insulin side of things, but for the most part, if you get these 2 hormones balanced in the right circadian rhythm, it will do a lot to overcoming some other health issues. So first light, when you get the artificial light in your eyes, it's not the same. If it's sunlight, and even then later on in the day, get outside, get some sunlight on your skin. No sunscreen, please. You're not out there to bake and sunburn your skin. And trust me, it will not give you cancer. It's the people who slather the sunscreen, which by the way has all kinds of chemical toxins. Now I'll use zinc type stuff when I'm going to be out. I was just on an overnight 2-day backpack, and outside exposed. So I have to put some stuff, but I use the stuff that's it's zinc based. It's not, doesn't have all the chemicals in it. You are going to see a film of white on your skin when you use that type of stuff, but be very careful with the sunscreen because that's going to block out the vitamin D that you need to absorb through your skin. That actually helps produce the melatonin that you need for nighttime when you sleep. So going out also throughout the day and getting some kind of sunlight on your skin will be very helpful. Now, it's summer. There's probably nowhere on earth where you can't get some sunlight at some point in the summer months, depending on when summer is for that part of the world. But there are parts of the world that in the winter, they hardly see the sun, if at all. And there are sunlight lamps that provide that natural light that help with the circadian rhythm. There are other ones that are also for the skin, so you're absorbing vitamin D through the skin. You're not doing that to bake and get a suntan. You're just doing it for the health benefits because we never had to deal with that kind of stuff before. I mean, were there always regions of the world that had lack of sunlight? Yes. During some time of the year? Yes. Seasonally, though, those people were, that was their ancestral way. And so they did okay. But now today we have to deal with all the sunscreen that's also blocking. And trust me, that people get skin cancer where the sun doesn't ever shine. So don't blame it on the sun. Skin is an organ like anything else, and it can get diseased like any other organ in the body. So just remember, it might be it may be an area that has been hit by the sun, but I've heard more times than that on clients with areas where the sun never shines. So keep that in mind. Sunlight is so critical, but the first morning light is going to turn on that cortisol when it needs to be on. Tomorrow, we're going to look at a graph that shows the perfect circadian rhythm and one that's disrupted. And this is the one way to get that going right. Number 2, you want to drink 8 to maybe 16 ounces of water, good, clean water, not tap water. This isn't about hydration, but if it was, I'd go deep into that. Just don't drink the tap water. Make sure it's filtered. I drink distilled and I add electrolytes to the water. And do that before your coffee or tea, because those two things are going to be very dehydrating on the body. Plus, we've been sleeping for 8 hours, hopefully. And we are, I mean, maybe even longer than that because you're afraid to drink before you go to sleep. It could be 10 hours since you've had your last bit of water. And we need every organ of our body needs to be hydrated in order for it to function right. And that includes the colon. So elimination, we need to be hydrated. And that's, if you're drinking coffee first, after 10 hours of not drinking any water, could be problematic in the future. So drink your water first and then head outside and do your yoga coffee. You can get 1 and 3 all together. What is yoga coffee, you're asking? I've mentioned this a couple of times, and if you didn't run ahead and look at this, you didn't know what it was. But it's a breath work, it's a breathing technique that is meant to energize the body. I'm going to talk about breathing techniques that are meant to calm the body tomorrow. But for this one, yoga coffee is excellent to do outside. My picture here shows me doing it outside. And it's, again, it's meant to just oxygenate the cells and just kind of get you buzzing. So I'm going to demonstrate one round. So I'm recommending 2 to 3 sets of 20 to 30. And I'm going to do one set of 20. So you'll start with one set of 20, build up to 3, and then build up your reps to 30. You wait about 15 to 30 seconds between each set to sort of recover, or take as long as you need, but at least 15 seconds. Okay, so the idea is you want to inhale when the arms are coming up, hands are open, and then as you exhale as you're pulling down, and they'll always be right here at the shoulders. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate 20. Do them with me. Nobody's watching. Okay, so here we go. And it's always in and out through the nose. Mouth is closed, tongue on the roof of the mouth. Okay, here we go. That was 20. Okay. I'm already buzzing. Have your tissue handy if you need to. That was great. Wait 15 seconds. That's right about now, maybe 30 seconds if you need more. Sit if you need to. I'm standing right now, and you can do it standing outside or seated outside, whatever's comfortable. Just do it. Do that before your coffee. And if you have to rush out the door and you have your favorite organic coffee stop that you like to make, I say organic because we're going to talk about that in a second. And that's part of your on your way to work kind of a thing, or when you get to work, maybe that's available to you there. Do this first with your hydration. You're going to be feeling great. And if maybe you go for 2 cups of coffee, that might reduce you down to 1. So speaking of coffee and caffeine, this is something we need to be aware of. And actually, there isn't one person who I haven't asked to reduce their caffeine or eliminate it for a period of time that hasn't, when they reintroduce it, hasn't identified that it in fact was a problem. If you're drinking caffeine, say past even noon or 2 o'clock, but my cutoff time is about 10 to 12. And that's going to include anything with caffeine, chocolate, and all of that. So if I have any kind of dark chocolate, say after my lunch, which is usually my biggest meal, I am cautious of that. And I do make note of that to see how my sleep is, if it does affect my sleep. But it's, maybe you're already aware that it's an issue for you, but it's not something that you will know until you actually completely eliminate. But what you want to do is make sure you're hydrated before your caffeine, because it will be very dehydrating. And just consider the timing of it. I mean, if you can stop at noon, maybe you have lunch at noon with an iced tea, you might be okay. But much past that, and if you're not recognizing caffeine and your sleep is not good, the first thing you can do is try to dial back and see if that doesn't help. Maybe that's the only thing that's affecting you, if your diet is otherwise pretty good. But also, with respect to coffee, if you're not buying organic, it's highly processed. It's sprayed with pesticides, treated with chemicals, because when it's stored before being roasted, probably even after being roasted, it develops mold, it grows mold, and they treat it for mold. It's a very highly chemically sprayed food source, and we need to buy organic so that we don't get those chemicals, because maybe your reaction to coffee in the past, like you've given it up because whatever, you have an issue with it, it could have been the chemicals if it's not organic. So So consider that. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. So, okay, number 5 is keep a journal. I mentioned it earlier that if this is the start of your journey of addressing any health issues and you're doing it with sleep, bravo, thank you for being here. But it'll be a great idea to keep a journal. It doesn't have to be a fancy book. It can be a notebook, a little one, a big one. I mean, it could be anything. When I have clients sign up with me, they get their digital journals through Practice Better, and those things come to me like food journals and things like that. And you may have one of those kinds of apps on your phone. Use that, that's fine. What we want to do is journal what you did, like your morning routine, your evening routine, your sleep checklist, that kind of stuff. Keep these things with your journal or the folder, you know, if it's just all in a folder. You can make notes. I left space on the sleep prep checklist for notes, so you can make notes there. That may be the only journal you do. And if you're, you know, taking a month or 2 months to dial in all of this, that may be all you need. But journal and watch your progress, because you may not see it daily, but if you look back at where you started and where you are now, again, bravo, you'll see your progress. This is not like taking a sleeping pill, okay? If you say, I'm not sleeping, I'm going to take an Ambien. Yeah, okay. Not sleeping, I'm going to sleep. But that pill was an instant, it was a Band-Aid to sort of mask what is happening over here that's not allowing you to sleep. What I do is take care of all of that. We don't take the pill because you don't need the pill. You will not need the pill if you do these things. Okay. Okay, number 6, alternate your working in and your working out routines. We all know what working out is. We expend energy. I've already mentioned that's on the yang side. We expend energy. It's catabolic in nature, but not a bad thing, because we need to break down muscle tissue to repair and build muscle and strength. But working in is a thing you could do that even if you just had your breakfast, you'd be able to perform the movement. It's typically involving breath work, and it keeps the nervous system balanced. It's not, it's energy accumulating. So it actually allows you, could even facilitate in your digesting of the food. And that's the one way to test whether you have a working in routine, whether what you're doing is working in versus working out. You don't want to break a sweat, breathe heavy, get your heart rate up. It's not like that. Yoga, not the hot rock yoga, but some of the very simple yoga, even the sun salutation, like I show here in the picture, is great. I do chakra balancing zone exercises from root chakra up to crown chakra, all with breath, very gentle movements that stimulate that area of the body, because it's all based on the spinal column. And that is one way I can do those exercises and still digest my food. Tai Chi is another one. Excellent. Working in. If you want to know more ideas about that, send me a message. Okay. So resetting your circadian clock is going to take a few weeks, and consistency after that is key to making it stay that way. So, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to like go on vacation and things get off track. Just you got this information now, and and dial back to it when you need to, but don't let it limit living, if that makes sense. But if your lack of sleep is keeping you from living, then take the time to get on a better track for your sleep so that you can start living again. And then when you do, and you know, gosh, I'm in this hotel in France, I can't go out and do my yoga coffee. They're going to think I'm crazy. Well, you could, but you may not want to. And you're going to enjoy things that you wouldn't normally enjoy. But the endorphins are good, and it's reward, it's recreation, and we need all that stuff too. But it's so much better when you have vitality and energy and good focus and, brain energy and all that. And you get that from good sleep. So this is wrapping up day 1. Thank you for being here. Look for the replay tomorrow. Again, the abbreviated version, let me tell you, would be, and I'm going to put a reminder in your email as well. The abbreviated version, if you don't have a lot of time in the morning, is the first light. If you're leaving in the dark and you're at work or something, great if you're like a salesperson that has sales calls and you could stop and get your organic coffee and after you've had your water, but get that first light in. If you wear glasses, corrective lenses, take them off because it needs to be the naked eye. Now, I wear one contact lens, so that would kind of mess me up, but it's better than nothing. But shoot for that. That is hugely important for setting the circadian clock. Make sure you get hydrated, your 8 to 16 ounces of water, and do your breath work, yoga, coffee. Tomorrow we'll talk about some other ones, box breathing and some other ones in case you don't want to vigorously be doing yoga, coffee out there in the public. But those 3, I would say, are, and that's yoga, coffee, of course, would be before your coffee, are going to be the ones, sort of the abbreviated version that you can do during the week. That's going to help set you up for the rest of your day. This is what we're doing. The morning routine is setting you up for the rest of the day. The evening routine sets you up for the evening as well as sleep and being prepared for the morning. So again, thank you for attending today. Look for your replay and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7 o'clock.